So I wanted to make a video on oysters and shellfish in general. So about a couple weeks ago I went out for oysters to this oyster bar that opened up, and it was great. It was so great. I was like, I'm gonna get like a dozen oysters, and then I ordered a dozen more. It was happy hour, so there was good prices, and you know, I felt great from the oysters. And when I've been going to get my fish at the fish market, I've been getting a dozen, 17 or so oysters every week now. And then on Wednesdays I go to where I get my chicken. They have fish and stuff too. It's kind of high end, and I go and I ask for 4 oysters, and I get lucky. I mean, the guy gives me, you know, 8, 9 oysters. He gives me a deal, basically half price. So that's great, and I feel a lot better having the oysters in my diet. I was eating a good amount of cheese and honey, probably twice a day, you know, 15 minutes after my meat meal, and then again in the eat later at night as a snack. And I noticed, you know, I sleep better. It made a difference. But the oysters, obviously on a whole nother level, and the added benefit there is they're helping detox the mercury. I really have been enjoying the crazy dreams from the oysters. If you're eating oysters, maybe you're experiencing a similar thing. Yeah, I ate oysters about a year ago, and every time I ate them, I always got a severe detox. It might have been because I was eating oysters that were already dead. I thought they didn't smell like bad. Maybe they smelled a little off. The trick is with oysters, here you go, is to make sure they close. Like if they're open and you close them, they stay closed, or if they're closed, they're good. But if they're just open and they don't close, that's an oyster you probably don't want to eat, because it's going to give you probably a pretty severe detox reaction if you've never had anything like that before. This happened to me several times, and eventually I stopped eating oysters for a year because I was like, well, I don't know, maybe it's just the source, maybe it's just too much for me. But I started up again, and it's been pretty great. Just paying attention to the oysters I get, and you know, rinsing them off in some quality water when I get home to you know, like if an oyster died and its water popped out on the other oysters, obviously, you know, you might get a little bit of that bacteria, so that could cause a detox. So I rinse off my oysters in quality water before I shuck them and go to town. I've been putting lemon on them, and I'm a big fan of that. Just a couple drops, you don't need much, and it's tasty. Most of the oysters I get are from the Atlantic. I always get a lot of pea crabs in those. I also get a lot of, well, not a lot, but the other place I get oysters from is Canada. I think those oysters are the best, but the ones from the Atlantic, they're a little bit more accessible for me, a better price, and they're still good oysters. We're coming into oyster season, so I thought it'd be a good time to make this video. Something about scallops. You know, scallops are a great source of iodine, good source of minerals. They also, you want to make sure they come dry packed. Now, they're going to be a little bit more expensive when they're dry packed. They're going to be at least $30 a pound. There's like U4 and U10 I've seen, and I think that's just the size. But you want to get dry packed scallops, because if they're packed in a liquid solution, there's like some chemicals in there. It affects the taste. I've had both, and you want to spend the money on the dry pack. The difference is astronomical. So if you're looking at scallops, interested in scallops, make sure you find somewhere that they're dry packed and they're not packed in this liquid solution. I don't even know what it is. I haven't even looked it up yet, but I know it's not going to be great. It's probably some sort of sodium something. So just be aware of that. Clams are also on my list. Probably going to try those this week. I'd also like to try a lobster tail. Clams and lobsters, two things I haven't tried. Scallops are great, they're buttery, they make you feel good. I feel like in terms of minerals, the shellfish are a little better than the cheese and honey. Primarily because the oysters at least are still a live food technically. And yeah, I mean, baby scallops, I can get those at a Japanese market. Baby scallops, also really good, cheaper, and I'm pretty sure they don't get packed in anything because they taste pretty good. I'll have to ask next time I go there, but I haven't had them in a while, but those were kind of my go-to. Because they're like, I don't know, maybe $20 a pound instead of 35 or 30. So, just a quick note on oysters and shellfish in general. If you can get that in your diet once a week, I think it'll make a big difference, especially if you feel like you've plateaued, you're trying to change something up. Try to incorporate more shellfish in your diet. It's really great, it's really tasty. They're good with lemon. You can make the horseradish sauce from the recipe book, that'd probably be pretty good with the oysters, because the oysters are kind of salty. The scallops are more buttery and light. They're good in lemon, but I'd say they're okay in lemon. I prefer them without lemon, actually. But oysters, as we know, the shells filter all the toxins. The meat is really clean. Scallops and clams is not so much the case. You're gonna want to eat a little bit of cheese with that, just like with fish, if you can remember to. It's not a big deal. I don't always eat cheese with my shellfish or my fish. Definitely before my meat meals, I always eat cheese, but not always during. Another great thing that happened was my fish market. They used to get swordfish that came in frozen. Like the whole fish would come in froze, and they would cut it up. It was still pretty good, and for 12 bucks a pound, I mean, it's a pretty decent deal. But now they're getting fresh swordfish for the same price, 12 bucks a pound, fresh swordfish. I definitely noticed a difference in the taste and the texture. I can definitely tell like when something's been frozen versus not. And I think I'm feeling it too. So get out there and get your shellfish, your oysters. I don't know what season scallops and clams are in, but I know oysters are definitely going to be in season. They're like starting to come in season. If they're coming from Canada, they probably already are in season because it's colder up there. But you know, I think October, so just a few weeks, is the official oyster season. So enjoy.